Well, what's the crack, everybody? How are you getting on? Are you well? Are you well? Well, I hope you're well, because you're looking well. I can't see, what am I saying that for the love of God. All very welcome to Buckshot. Yeah, episode 183 by Suffered and Jesus. If you're new, which we seem to be getting a shot of, if you're brand spanking new to the podcast, have a look at the number, 183. There's a rake of ramble pods there. There's other kind of bonus episodes and everything else. There's loads for you to wrap your gums around. Shout out to the Patreons. Of course, you're paying for the material. I realised I made a complete bollocks of the new mic that you bought, the studio essentially. It will be going into the new studio, which is being built over the road. I'm building it as we speak over the road. Yeah, I made a bollocks. I didn't put the right power through it, so it didn't sound that hectic at all. You know, so, Jesus Christ, lads, look, I'm learning on the job here. I'm learning on the job. By watching lads on YouTube, do you know what I mean? Some lad at 12 telling me how to do the fucking thing it's rough watching. So, I'll get there eventually. But, shout out. A couple of people have jumped on board and paid the yearly subscription, which I think there's a saving of like 10 or 15%, I think, if you pay the yearly one. So, brilliant. A couple of people this week did that. That's class. It's class, gets it out of the way, you know, and you're in for the year. You're in for the year as a Patreon. Some people have upped their donation as well this year. So, legendary stuff. I can ask for no more. Other than if you want to join in, the video of today's podcast went up last night. It did. Went up last night. So, you know, you get that. You get the ad-free audio. And not to mention, we've a live podcast coming up. I'm going to chance a Friday night for the crack, lads. Shouldn't get in the way of anything. Friday night, we'll have a couple of beers. Have the crack. I'm going to do it on the 30th. Going to do it Friday the 30th. I think that's the right one, isn't it? It is a Friday, and it is, good Lord, I can't even forget. Yes, Tom, Suffered and Jesus Christ. 30th. We're going to do it in the evening time. Have a couple of pints. Have the crack. So, that's the benefits of becoming a Patreon, everybody. You know, and I think we already have a subject that we're going to talk around. But thank you very much. There's, of course, the merch shop with a couple of new items gone up from the Tom and Jerry show. There's at least, there's a couple of items gone up there. You'll see it all down the show notes. Have a look down the show notes if you want to contribute some which way. You know what to do. Congratulations to Davey Walsh. He won the one-of-a-kind, although I say one-of-a-kind, will be putting him in the merch shop, Tom and Jerry show mug for his best comment on the Tom and Jerry show. And yes, season 5 is on the way back. We've already recorded episode 1. So, you know, it's happening, people. It's absolutely happening. So get your comments in. Thankfully, it's an absolute 5-star fiesta over there on Apple Podcasts. I don't know what it is on Stitcher, but it's been only 5 stars on the Tom and Jerry show. A couple of bollockses now down through the years have done 1 or 2 stars on the Tom O'Mahony's Buckshot. But, you know, that's just people being fucking saps. That's all it's being dirty old fucking saps. The majority of people are giving it 5 stars, but I am going to give away a t-shirt. On the night of the 30th, I'm going to announce the t-shirt of the best comment in recent times for Buckshot. So if you are on Stitcher, if you're on Apple Podcasts, whatever platform you're on, don't worry about it. Take a screen grab, tag me or the show on whatever social platform you're on with a nice little message, and that will go into the draw. It'll just be the best one. I'm not going to, although, do you know what, that would be a good crack to write them all down and put them in a hat. Do it old school in front of all the patrons. Anyway, on the night of the 30th, I will announce. So, get your comment in on whatever platform you want to do it on. And if you're wondering what the fuck the Tom and Jerry show is, and you're going, I've never heard of this, go and have a look. There's 4 seasons with a 5th one on the way with a couple of bonus episodes in there of myself and Jerry McBride of Waterford Whispers. Jerry with a G. Have a look for the Tom and Jerry show. You'll thank me later. There is, of course, a bunch of episodes of the Harden Up podcast, which are just sitting there if you want to have a listen, if you like Owen Colgan and whatnot, and myself, Nathan. We did it back in the day. May swing it back around again. Revive it for the crack with a few festivals coming up later in the year. You'd never know. You never know. That is the crack with everything. All the housekeeping done, as they say. Moving on to today's guest. What an absolute legend. And an absolutely lovely bloke. Met a couple of times on a few online gigs we did together over the Christmas and whatnot, and we just enjoyed each other's company. And he's what we'd call, lads, one of our own. You know, a complete sound fella, and not a fucking dose. But not only that, he's an absolute national treasure and a joy to hang out with for this episode. Sit back and enjoy the wonder that is Mundy. Edmund Mundy Enright, how are you keeping?
Not too bad. Not too bad. And you?
Great. Thanks a million for jumping on, man.
You're very welcome.
How does it sit with you? Because I'm literally talking with the missus this morning, and she was like, "Mundy, it must be class being a national treasure." I went, "Yeah, he is a national treasure, isn't it?" Like, but I said, I guarantee if I say it to him, he'll go, "Ergo, it, fuck will you, jeez."
Well, I've heard it said before, but I always thought, they might be taking the piss a bit, you know. I don't know. Still working on something anyway.
Well, that's it. I suppose a career can kind of creep up in you before you know it. You're like, well, you've been at the grindstone of all this work for so long, but people only get to kind of, people just see the magic out the other end. Like, where you're like, Jesus Christ,
it's a weird time for reflecting. You know what I mean? Jesus, where just things come to you and you go, wow, was that it, or is this it, or is there more, or what's going, So Jesus. I'm not a very nostalgic person, but Jesus, there's been times during this that just things just come back to me and I go, geez, that was such a moment in time. I was glad that happened,
Yeah. Because you have been everywhere and done it all, really, haven't you?
I have. The one thing I can definitely say, because I have two young daughters and they ask me questions about this and that and the other, but I definitely have traveled and I've definitely done stuff. And I've definitely had some great opportunities of I've supported some amazing bands and artists and collaborated with some great people. So I've ticked a lot of boxes that I didn't even know were part of my bucket list. You know what I mean?
So you didn't have
and beyond. In fact, there's been some things that have happened that I'm like, geez,
Go away.
Yeah, I've been like in the last couple of years when I thought. I started going over to America a good bit and it was very hard work, good work, certain pockets, brilliant, certain pockets, very, Tuesday night in the middle of, middle America, there mightn't be such a turnout, but then you end up kind of someone will email you, would you be interested in doing a gig in Hong Kong on St. Patrick's Day? And you're like, never been there. Maybe I should go. So I was there twice, and I was in Tokyo a couple of times, and over that neck of the woods where I never thought I'd want to be asked to be. So I've been to Australia, New Zealand, played in Russia, all over Europe, States, Canada. So it's definitely can't say that I haven't done. That I've done a lot.
Have you done Lisdoon Varna? Is the question though, Monday? Like,
no, and that's definitely in the bucket list. Actually, I did do Lisdoon Varna, but it was in Dublin.
What?
They tried to Aikens tried to put Lisdoon Varna, the festival, back together again in 2003, and they couldn't get the go ahead from the people down in Lisdoon Varna.
Proper order, in all fairness. Now it's kind of scandalous. Like,
so they took the idea and brought it to the RDS, and I have the poster on my wall over there, and the headliner was Christy Moore, with Donald Lunny, Declan Sinnott, the Frames, David Kitt, myself, Gemma Hayes, and then Josh Ritter, Luca Bloom, Damien Dempsey. Yeah, so I have played.
What?
But not in Lisdoon Varna.
What a lineup! Christ above.
Yeah, and there's so many more people on that as well, like Rosie, Barry Murphy's Comedy Circus. Just a load of stuff there. It was kind of like a little bit of maybe like the Electric Picnic meets the comedy thing that's on in the Ivy Gardens, that kind of thing.
Yeah. 10 minutes. Who, like, what's a gig in certain, Asia? Like,
yeah.
Well, like I can only, because I've never, it's come up once or twice about going out to do stand up in Asia, and it's always to expats, that kind of way. Like I've gigged in Dubai and Europe and stuff, and it's normally to English speaking people, and sure, comedy is but like who's coming? Like, is there that many expats, or are there a bunch of native folk coming to see Monday?
Well, my experience so around St. Patrick's Day, you're definitely going to be dealing with expats and people who are living over in those parts of the world. But for me, a beautiful thing happened where I got asked to play at like a St. Patrick's Day ball in Tokyo.
Lovely.
And after the ball, there was a big, I think Ireland were playing England, and we went off to the pub and watched that. And I had to be up the next day to play with this Japanese band just to do Galway Girl and another song. Anyway, I did a gig. I did the whole journey on the back of it, the fact that I got my own gig, which was in a little small basement pub in Tokyo. So loads of heads came down, some from the band that I played with that day, who were a Japanese trad Irish band.
I love that.
Yeah. And then, and they had the kind of, they had this kind of,
stop.
they could do that, like, it was wild. And they had songs like, this is a song called The Road to Scariff or whatever. What? But anyway, what was interesting was about 6 or maybe 10 people came down with my first album, the Japanese edition of my first album, which was called Jelly Legs, and it came out in 1996.
Yeah.
And that really blew me away. You know, it was 100 people. I was in a small venue and it was packed out. But the fact that those 10 local people came and got their autograph and this album was very special to them, that was worth its weight in gold. For me, that was worth the whole trip, you know.
That is class. When they turn up with your...
know that album touched people out there just blew me away, you know.
Isn't that mad? Like when you think, like, where did you record Jelly Legs?
In a place near Newport in Wales, with the famous producer called Youth.
Oh yeah.
He produced Urban Hymns by The Verve, which is, you know, one of his very big albums. But he's worked with Paul McCartney and Echo and the Bunnymen and loads of, you know, people, U2 and whatever. But Orbital, I think, or The Orb, one of them. I think it was maybe The Orb. And he was a big part of the dance scene in London. So yeah, that's 25 years this year.
25 years this year.
I was very young when I recorded it.
But man, you must have been absolutely buzzing, like, you know what I mean? You're getting to record with this unbelievable producer, like.
And it was weird because we were doing like, listen, I was literally busking on Grafton Street one minute, hanging out in the International Bar, got my heart broken, wrote a few songs, and then people just start coming to see me, A&R people. And then it was like, you know, I was on tour with Alanis Morissette. I'd only done 6 gigs in Dublin with a band.
What?
Yeah.
What? This is dream like, state stuff.
Wild, yeah. Signed a publishing deal. Started getting severe anxiety. Then I signed a record deal. And then it was like, now who's going to produce the record? Met about 5 or 10 producers, and Youth, he had the thing that I just thought, he's all about vibe, and I'll just bring out more of this in you. And he's just, we're still very pally. He in fact did my last record, and he's just like, he's like working with a kind of a shaman or something, you know.
Yeah.
Really, he's like, basically, he's got books everywhere and records everywhere and weird instruments everywhere. And he's like, if you can't finish the song by looking around the house, you're fucking useless, you know. Because he'd be like, in some book somewhere, there's a line that you're missing, or one of those instruments, there's a texture, or, you know.
Yeah.
And he's a total positive believer. And anytime I got negative, he was like, well, do you want to stop making the record then? You know, he was very, we don't have time for this around here.
I love them sort of. I love, you meet them people 1 in 10,000, like those sort of people. Do you know, and he's like, you know, nothing's a problem. I love them sort of fellas, like, and lo and behold, Jelly Legs then ends up, that's why, is because you were able to give it socks, and he had, you know, pumping your tires, and all of a sudden you find yourself a couple of years later in Japan, and people are going, this album is class.
Yeah. And also, there's a huge psychology that goes, I think, with music production that gets under or overlooked, because to tell, if you tell somebody you're a star and come on, man, you got it in you, you know, even if they think he doesn't have it at all, it'll bring more of the better stuff, no matter what it is, out of you. And I just love that attitude, you know. I think it's great. There's not many people I've worked with that have that, but it's a very important key of getting the best out of someone.
It's almost like top coaches, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? They can get, you know, they'll get more out of somebody that didn't even know they had. Like, but I'm a firm believer in that. If there's kind of, even in cooking, like if there's love at the beginning, You know, even if all it is a sausage, it'll be.
I even know, and I love cooking, and it's rare that I have kind of no intention of knowing what I'm making. And if you go in half-arsed, you expect a half-arsed meal, you know. But if you go in there, and for me, almost 90% of the time, I know exactly what I'm having.
Yeah.
Food, it's weird. It's just that's something I love doing, and it always comes out more or less great, you know.
I bet you any money it does, yeah, because it isn't, you know, it's creativity, and I think too, it's almost it doesn't feel like an effort because it's a bit of a performance in itself, isn't it? Like,
well, it is, and I'm a big fan of listening to music or podcasts when I'm cooking, but everybody knows to leave me alone.
Yeah,
in the kitchen. And that's for me in the last 12 years of parenthood. It's been my football team, you know.
Yes,
I have to go down and watch my team for 2 hours. I'll make the dinner because I didn't choose a football team stupidly before I got married. Even a pretend one, you know.
Yeah, you're absolutely singing. Although in the recent years I've gone mental on barbecuing.
Okay.
And long smoking and stuff like that, like to be, you know, 12-hour smokes and stuff. And wow. It's you know, people would look and think there's something wrong with that fella, like, you know, but I have no problem at all in getting up. If I have to get up at 5 a.m, if we were big, like back when we were allowed to have people over, and if we're having to be nothing, I would think nothing of starting the barbecue at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, wow. Well, you know, that's, I mean, the whole thing as well is it's a form of meditation as well. You're kind of, you don't even remember doing half of the stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's an outer body experience. You go into a complete rhythm of what you know, but without effortlessly trying or consciously knowing that you're doing it, you know.
There's I don't know if you ever see Chef's Table on Netflix. Do you ever watch it? It's
yeah. Is that where they go all over the world and go and
There's a barbecue version now where these absolute pioneers of barbecuing, and it's very arty, beautifully shot and everything. But there was a guy, an Australian guy, and he cooks with fire, not so much barbecue, but it's actually fire. Blame it, and you want to hear the way he speaks about it. He sounds like a musician. He literally called it playing music with fire. And you see him, like, his hands are so tough and callous now. He's actually touching the flame and pushing it off to the side, and what? But he's like he's literally
he's that one with the what do you call it? Earth, Wind, and Fire with the
element.
Elements.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful thing, you know. And it is musical, and you know, and heat is like control of melody and temperature, and I suppose temperature, similar thing, you know.
I never thought about it like that. Jesus, we might be onto
something here. Neither did I, but I'm just trying to get through this. As best I can, like.
we might have to develop something that can actually play music to the movement of fire.
My daughter said something to me yesterday. We were down and we went into town to get up on a few seagulls just to gallop around the town.
Yeah.
So we went seagull riding.
You brought the saddle, did you?
Yeah. So we're just riding down the quays. Anyway, there's a thing called the Sunlight Chambers, I think, on Parliament Street.
Right.
Beautiful building. But she said to me she loves D. Fontaine's Pizza, which is a New York style pizza there on Parliament Street. And so we went in and she said, "What does chambers mean?" And I said, "Well, a chamber is a room." And then I went, chambre, the French word for room. So yeah. I didn't know that until I actually started bluffing by telling her. Chamber is room, like chambre. Oh, right, it is that.
There you go. These moments of self-reflection during lockdown, it's unbelievable, isn't it? We're learning stuff about ourselves.
Yeah, learning stuff by bluffing.
Tell me this. So, thankfully, you found music. What else do you reckon? What were the possibilities? What could you have ended up being if music didn't find you?
Jeez, I don't know. Like my first passion, when I go through like achievements, I suppose the first thing I started doing was swimming when I was about 6. And I started winning medals around Offaly and shite. And then I went to Butlins a couple of times representing Offaly, and that was a big thing. And then when I got to Butlins, there were some lads really a lot. I was big for my age, but
Right.
lads bigger than me or taller than me. And then I got a whooping by a fella from Clara in the pool in the freestyle, and then I went back into breaststroke, and it was kind of weird. I used to have a girl who used to coach in Burr as well. Then she was gone, and then anyway, long story short, I kind of went, I'll give up that, and then I was really into horses. So I got a job in a local equestrian centre as a kind of a skivvy, mucking out stables, and the payback was I'd have my own horse to gallop in the evenings or whatever, and I did that up until I was about 16.
Right.
And played hurling, but the horses was always somewhere I really thought I'd go. I'd maybe go into the army or something, try and do show jumping or something like that. I don't know, but when I was younger, that was a thing. But then when I was 14, music started creeping in. And I started, because I used to get up in the mornings before I go to school and write out and all that. And then I kind of stopped doing with the music. It was all dreaming about, so when I was about 14, it was about 1989. The Doors movie was kind of coming out, and there was
right.
Eddie Cochran and all that whole kind of, whatever you'd call it, early 60s music was very big. And then I got really into Hendrix and the Doors, and then I kind of went, bye-bye horses.
You got bitten by it,
yeah. I got the itch. And I was really big into hurling as well. Played rugby as well, but I played hurling.
Of course, being from Offaly, you kind of have to play hurling.
Yeah,
too,
well, the hurling was was a very passionate thing for me, and I still love watching a good game of hurling. I have to say, it's an amazing sport. But I think in the timeline, Offaly and Burr were winning a lot of games around that time, and so possibilities and achievements were possible.
Yeah.
Kind of going, well, if he can do it, I can do it, kind of thing. And so there was an attitude of go out there and just try a little bit harder and go on. You've got more in you, And so I think if I didn't grow up with that happening in Burr at the time, I don't know if I would have got so far with the music.
I'm with you. Yeah. I've often wondered that about counties, because I remember meeting a guy after a gig. Well, it just happened. I did a gig in Edinburgh and came off stage, and I knew Munster were playing at the time, and I legged it into the bar next door, and I was watching. There was a fella sitting beside me, and I asked for a drink or whatever, and he said, "Where are you from?" I said, "Tipperary. Where are you?" And he was from Cavan, the same guy, and he was just going on about it's great to be from Tipperary. I went, "What? I know what? I don't know. I suppose it's grand, yeah." And he went, "I know, but there's a great positivity out of you. Do you know what I mean? Because you fuckers, you're winning everything all the time. It's infectious, that out winning." And I went, "Oh, grand, yeah." I swear to God, walking back to the old flat, I was going, "Fucking, is he right? Like, does that pour over where, like you just said, you're seeing shit being won and people pushing themselves and winning as a result? Does that kind of filter down?"
There's an amazing documentary on Shane Lowry, the golfer, but it kind of goes back to when his dad would have been playing football for Offaly, and they won a couple of All-Irelands, or maybe it was one or two, I can't remember. One famous one anyway.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s. But I think the big thing for, so I agree exactly with what you're saying with the counties, but what makes a county thrive is employment. And you'll notice all the bigger counties with more work will be the stronger ones in the leagues. But Offaly was a great place for Bordnamona and the bogs and all that, but the bogs got over used, I suppose, and the arse fell out of it with employment. So therefore, all the players would have had to work further and further away. So to come back 3 nights a week to practice for a few sambos was kind of probably not so charming, and that's where I think the arse falls out of it. So if you see any of the weak counties in the country, they probably wouldn't have great employment.
That's
my theory.
Going, it's in the ether now. Everybody's going to know about it now. So it's an actual fact. Anybody listening, that's an absolute fact there now. But in all fairness, like you say, like the music just kind of just it was you almost painted as if it almost happened by a fluke. It happened so quickly. Like,
Yeah.
do you know? Not like everybody that heard you, whether it was somebody who lined you up for Alanis Morissette or like you supported Oasis and the Stripes as well, didn't you?
That's
like,
right. Yeah.
You know, like they didn't all go, "Oh, is he good? Sure, I'll believe you." No, they knew you were, you know, they all knew you were going to be good. So it wasn't by accident you got it either. Like, you must be busting yourself practicing. Like,
well, when I did the White Stripes one, there was a big band at the time couldn't do it. A band called Jet.
Oh yeah.
Is that their song? 1, 2, 3. You want to come with me? It looks so fine, and I can't remember. Anyway, 1, 2, 3. I don't know the lyrics. Anyway, so I stood in for them. But yeah, you're right. I mean, there's definitely a filter there when it comes to who supports the band. You know.
Yeah.
I supported REM one night in the Olympia.
Go away.
And I didn't know why I got the gig, and I met Mike Mills from REM, and I said, "How the hell did I get that gig tonight?" You know? And he said, "No, we got friends in Dublin, and we ask our friends, who do you think?" So he said, "Your name was mentioned," and we said, well, "Let's go for that." But there was me, David Kitt, Kathy Davey, and I think Simple Kid, and maybe one more artist who I can't think of right now. So they did 5 nights, and we all got a shot at it, and it was fucking awesome to, you know, one of my favorite bands. One of my first albums was an REM album, you know.
Yeah, me too, actually. Yeah,
Green by REM.
Did you ever? Well, no doubt you probably won't admit it, but did you ever rip it so hard that even the band that you're supporting go, fuck you feel it, like they go on after you and go, this fella's absolutely murdered the room, like, because he's so good, you know?
Maybe at times, but I definitely wouldn't be thinking about things that way. I mean, to be honest, for me, most of the support acts I've been given, you kind of have to do well, you know.
Yeah.
One of the worst ones I did was I got a Bob Dylan gig. I've supported Bob Dylan twice, believe it or not, and I sound like I blow my own trumpet.
That's class.
I am.
And go for it. If you have a trumpet, fucking blow into it this minute.
I'm only mentioning this because it was one of the worst support gigs I did. I supported them once in Galway, which went amazing. Then I supported them in Kilkenny, but I was to do it on my own, and I'd started doing loop stuff on my pet, you know, before kind of everybody was doing it, and I had a pretty good set made out. But on the drive down, it was a really hot day. I was wearing a pair of shorts and a pair of Birkenstocks or something. Not ready for my gig, like.
Right, yeah.
We got stuck in Carlow, so fucking Irish, going to support my all-time hero. And then I'm looking at the clock and going, I'm on stage now in 1 hour, and I'm still wearing my shorts and my Birkenstocks and my novelty knees. And then we get down to Nowlan Park. Nowlan Park is Nowlan
Park, yeah.
And this fucking bulldozer of a fella in a high vis is at the back. Hey, he said, "Where are you going with that, yoke?" And I said, "I'm going into the park. I'm one of the artists." He said, "I don't care who you are. You're not driving. I don't care who you are. You're not bringing that in here." I said, "I'm actually on in 15 minutes." And he said, "You'll park it over there." It was like an unbelievable scene. And come back, and then, you know. So I think someone said, "Bring him in." And I ran in through Ray LaMontagne's dressing room in my shorts, threw on a pair of jeans. I had a guy with me, Simon. He threw all my stuff on the stage. But when you have guitar pedals, they have to be at the right spot at your foot.
Yeah,
and everything.
yeah.
I went out and I played for half an hour. I have no idea what the hell what I did. And it was a tough, you know, it was terrible to have that opportunity and to have, I should have got up at 8 o'clock that morning and just driven down and been really, really early. That's what I should have done.
Yeah, but you'll only learn it the one time, like, you know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't do that again, you know?
There's a lot of educating in me now, I have to say.
But to be fair, I mean, and stuck in fucking Carlow of all places. I mean, you know, Jesus Christ, like the signs were on. You know what I mean?
I think this is before the bypass or whatever. You know.
And because there's all, I get kind of, because I love your style of music and how you sound, because I have this romantic notion of kind of American folk from when I was small. I don't know where it came from. I think everything seemed cooler to me, obviously. You know, like so many Irish children, everything was cooler in America. I think, you know, and then like one of your recognized Steve Earle song, Galway Girl. You're like anybody, even Steve Earle could go and sing it right now, and I guarantee you, Debbie, this is how I know you've hit iconic status. I've heard two lads before on more than one occasion row over who's better at it.
Okay.
And both times your man made a valid argument that Mundy is far superior than Steve Earle at singing Galway Girl. But I had to agree because there seems to be more folk in you than was that. Did you what I'm saying is, did you organically kind of head in that direction, or were you?
Well, it was a kind of so Jelly Legs was done in the UK, was signed to Sony in the UK. I was always more into kind of the grungier side of things, the American style of things. Then I got dropped from Sony and I went I made 24 Star Hotel, which is my second album, with an amazing producer called Tommy D. He recorded Catatonia and Kylie and loads of different people, Finlay Quay, and he kind of got my buzz, like he kind of knew. But anyway, so we made a record and it never got put out. So it was sitting in my drawer. And I ended up going to South by Southwest, which is in Austin, Texas. And I went, I love this place. I love Austin, Texas. I love the people. The Romeo and Juliet soundtrack was still rippling. And that was, so Youth kind of got the American side of my folkiness. I think he got that kind of cactusy desert.
Yeah.
And I bought a cowboy hat in Austin, and I took a selfie on my little Canon. I had a little small camera, and someone gave me Photoshop, a cracked version of Photoshop on my PC, and I made the cover of it.
Stop.
So basically, all I had was a CD in my drawer that I stopped believing in a way because the label didn't put it out. But then when I found the cover of it with the cowboy hat, it seemed to bring out new life in the album. Have I got the album there? Let's have a look. 1 sec. So that's the album cover there, right? So that's like a photo I took of myself looking down with the cowboy hat. And then that image kind of stuck on. And then I started really listening I loved Wilco, that band Wilco.
Yeah.
And loads of bands from that kind of Americana indie side of things. Bonnie Prince Billy, Sparkle Horse, Sun Volt, and all that kind of stuff. And then I love Beck as well.
Yeah.
And then I said, right, I need to go back to Austin, Texas. So I made my third album in Austin, and I brought in like pedal steel guitar, and I was listening to Steve Earle, Lucinda Williams, Townes Van Zandt, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I kind of made my Americana record, and it went to number one here. That was 2004. And then I got to meet Steve Earle after one of his concerts. And, he was really cool, very nice. And then met Sharon Shannon. But then we were on a radio show one night down in Galway around 2005. And they asked us, would we do a duet? And I knew this album, Transcendental Blues by Steve Earle, which had Galway Girl on it. And Tom Dunn was the host of the radio show.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah.
And we all, he said, what about Galway Girl? And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. But nobody knew of it now. So this is basically like saying doing July or something, something that, maybe that's not a good example. But I read it off a piece of paper and went home not thinking anything. Had a great buzz with Sharon. She's lovely. Made a new friend. And they just said, you would not believe the amount of response that this duet is after getting. It's insane. So when I got home, it was more the same thing. Text. It's gone, So then I did a gig. I was filming a gig in 2006 in Vicar Street.
Lovely.
And Sharon agreed to come up and do a song, do Galway Girl with me. I'd asked a few people, and a lot of people weren't around, but fucking another phenomenal reaction. So that was it. It was on the album, and I went straight to the top of the charts. Loads of radio stations said it would never be a single because it was live. The audience were on it and all that. So that didn't matter because people loved it so much. So basically, the long story short is there was no plan. It was a very natural collaboration that we never even thought about. Like there was no imagine if this would work. None of that mattered. It was only just a bit of crack.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
A phenomenal story, and we never have. There's not even one picture of us together as a promotion single for that song.
Yeah.
Like we never actually had a photo session around. So she has her version and I have my version. She probably has a couple of versions, but I've a version from Live at Oxygen and a version from Vicar Street. And massive hits on YouTube and all that kind of stuff.
And was Earl ever in contact again after that?
I know, I've met him a few times, and it's funny, Steve was playing in Wexford one time, and I said, I'll see you down in Wexford or something. He's a fairly serious guy, you know. You don't kind of get much crack out of him. Like
I've watched him on YouTube, and he's brilliant, but he's just in front of the mic.
He's a funny guy too, but he's very intense, very serious. But I was saying, I look forward to seeing you in Wexford. You know, it was my excuse to text him, and he said, "What are you coming to the concert?" And I said, "Well, I'm playing on the same night." He said, "In the same town?" I said, "Yeah." After your gig, after my gig, you're playing after my. He's like, "This doesn't make any sense." So I shouldn't have reached out at all because he actually got pissed off. Put on. He's going over on the back of Galway Girl to sell out his own gig. I'm going down with my own songs and Galway Girl to sell out my gig. Anyway, he kind of cooled down a bit and he said, "Will we do a duet? Either at mine or yours?" And I said, "Yeah, fucking absolutely." On my way down, I got a puncture.
Wasn't in Carlow again, was it?
Arrived out, it was right outside the tent in Wexford town. And it was the Spiegel tent.
Oh, lovely, yeah.
And there's these like things that come out of the ground where you lift up the poles, like the steel yokes. One of them was left up, and my wheel drove into it and punctured. My wheel drove into it. I drove into it.
That's it, yeah. Blame the wheel, yeah.
So he looked at me and kind of was like, "That was a bummer, man." And felt bad. But we did get to sing it once in Cambridge, in Cambridge Folk Festival in London, or in England. Get on great with him, you know.
That's class, though.
Just never really. I would love to have sat down and done it with him properly, you know.
Yeah, he's probably still half thick with you, though. In all fairness, like
Take away. That's the one thing I've learned is people get thick, and that's nothing you can do about it.
Absolutely.
He bought me lunch one day as well.
Well, he's all right. So, in all fairness, like
not enough, and I think I might have got dessert too.
Jesus Christ, that's not so bad. Do you know what I'd love to hear? It was only actually as I knew today was happening or whatever, and I was going, I would love, whatever about Galway Girl, I would love to hear you sing Copperhead Road.
Yeah, I get asked that actually.
Because it's so like, oh, that would be good now. That would be fair good.
Yeah, I just have to learn the lyrics. I love Copperhead Road, we're just talking about Copperhead Road. I love Guitar Town and what's that song? Devil's Right Hand. You ever hear that one?
Oh yeah.
Fearless Heart is a great song as well.
There's something outlawish and nearly bowled about that kind of music, isn't it? Like you know,
that's what it is. It's bowled country.
Yeah.
You've bowled country and you've bowled country.
Well, they reckon like the likes of Copperhead Road, the story of the telling of the original idea of it was the beginning of NASCAR, you know, because lads were souping up cars to outrun the cops. And then all of a sudden they'd all these souped up cars and they went, well, when we're not running Pucheen, let's fucking race each other.
Right.
And then so became the birth of NASCAR. So
is Copperhead Road about some army guy, is it? No.
It is, but he tells the story was the grandfather was originally a Pucheen or moonshine maker.
Oh, okay, right.
And he took the idea that went to Vietnam, came back and went, "Jeez, I'll grow drugs up here. Sure, this is grand." Nobody's allowed up Copperhead Road. You know, it's like that bad road in outside every town where a mad old bastard lives up. You wouldn't.
Listen, when I get back into Burr, especially on a Friday night, the boys will be outside the parents' house and they'll be, you know.
I met your parents one night. Yeah, I was doing a gig in the theatre in
very good.
in Burr, and they were lovely people. They were Edwin Salmon and myself.
Very good.
And who else was that? I was hosting the show. He's flying it. He's flying it. He'll probably be tapping you up now for as a podcast guest at some stage as well.
Yeah. He's better get me on podcast.
Jeez, yeah, they are multiplying at this stage.
I get requests every week now to do a podcast.
I have no doubt, and there's something in me. I've been doing this maybe over 4 years now at this stage, and still,
very good.
Like, I think this is episode 183.
Oh,
but I now, especially since lockdown, since so many popped up, it's almost a level of embarrassment to go, would you be on my podcast? You know, like, it's all I have going for me now is if somebody did happen to go, what's he talking about? And I looked at the back.
I get some of them. I'm thinking I'm starting up a podcast, and you're going, you don't even get to ask the chance. Has anyone else done it?
That's it. At least I have.
Have you any followers? No. You're literally you're my whatever. But it's funny when I do my Sunday night gigs on Facebook, which kind of kept me sane.
Yes.
Through lockdown, and I kind of halfway through lockdown where you could bring one person over to the house, I had some guests over, and it was so refreshing to be able to jam with someone and ask them some questions about how they wrote a song, stuff that they never, because when you get on national radio or a lot of stuff like that, you don't get asked the nitty gritty. That people want to know about. It's kind of like, recently I was asked to come on and do half of Galway Girl and half of July. It was like,
what?
Which part of it do you want? Do you want the best part or the, So I got,
That's like those, do you remember those jerseys back in Italia 90? They were like half, you didn't know which jersey was which, half Irish jersey, half, or the scarves, the football scarves with two teams on. It's like, well, which fucking one are you supporting?
So it's funny. I did a lovely one with Steve Wall down in Killarney.
Oh, yeah.
But we just did song for song, and I got to ask him, because I'm a big fan, and I was like, how'd you write that? And he told me the idea, and so, you wouldn't get asked those questions on many shows, to be honest. Unless that's the one thing about podcasts, is you do get a bit of depth.
Well, that's my whole reason. But people that I find interesting, like the amount of people that or I get ideas from listeners going, do you know who'd be great to get on? You're going, I don't fucking care if they'd be great to get on. They're an absolute dose. I couldn't be dealing with them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and if I don't find a person interested, I'm guessing the people listening afterwards will go, Tom doesn't sound a bit interested there.
And you're in control. You're in control of who you have on, so you can put a little dose free.
I have a major filter for doses. Yeah. No, you can steer clear of doses. But thankfully now it's doing good numbers. And people, I think what I've found now is the listeners too are the kind of people who, our kind of people, normal, good crack people who don't mind.
That's what you want. That's what you want.
Nobody's bitch moaning and complaining at me, like. But I mean, and that's the thing too. You were half joking about starting your own podcast, because I was watching. I've seen your Facebook live ones, and it's like this is the bee's knees, like. Yeah. In between songs, to have Mundy talk to people, because we've never lived Mundy's life. We know nothing about it. I think it'd be very interesting if in that format you sang a couple of songs together, but nattered in between.
Yeah. Well, that's what I want to do. Is it's kind of like an hour flies so gracefully. If I do 4 songs, bring on a guest, have a chat, they do 2 or 3 songs, and then we do 2 or 3 songs together.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great hour of it flies by. And you don't have any, especially when you're bringing in someone that you really like, you're gonna know their songs anyway, so it's easy to play along with them. But I think I'll go down there eventually. I just have to figure out how to. I'd love to get how to split a screen, and so you can't really do duets live. That's the only thing, unless you're doing them together.
Yeah. I'm with you
in the same room. So. That was the one challenge with lockdown. Although Jack L is a good vibe. I did a duet with Jack L recently, and he is so wacky with how he does it. I sent him a video of me singing.
Yeah.
But I left out his verse.
Right.
But he had some way of putting his iPhone like the size of my hand there.
Yeah.
So you could see me and him, and he mixed it. Like, I don't know. It was the most alternative way of doing a duet,
That's what you need now as a tech guru of some
Yeah,
sort.
tech
Take
guru.
that shit away from you and let you to be the artist, in charge
Absolutely.
of that side of the situation.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, what a lot of comedians, especially, there's nothing better than a day or a holiday going shit on you, because in your head you'll go, well, that's new 10 minutes for me anyway. I'm good, and you'll pen down, or you'll find yourself going, well, this is a new adventure. Let's go off and see this thing, because I'll find something in that I'll be able to use, whether it's, going to some, I don't know, failing zoo or something. You'll go in and look at the sadness of the animals and go, right, well, we need to talk about this. This will be funny. We'll find something. Or you'll go off and just meet a mad uncle who, grows weed out the back of the house or whatever, which we all have, I think so.
There's one of them now, I'll be surprised.
What, do you wait for the inspiration to come along? Or do you go, I need a journey here,
I'm starting to kind of feel, Jesus, I've had a rough, when I've been inspired, it's been very, very subconscious and natural. I have a song at the moment called Dark Long Enough. It's out on iTunes and Spotify and all that.
Brilliant.
But I wrote it as a poem about 3 years ago at the end of summer, when the clock was just about to kind of go backwards again. And I was like, oh, shit. I don't think I did enough this summer. And I think I've, so it's basically telling myself to go out and this is your chance.
Yeah.
It'll be dark long enough, basically. And that came quite easily. But it's when I put myself under pressure for stuff to be, it just, for me, inspiration is a cross between waiting for it, but also if you do enough of it, the cogs kind of loosen up a bit. And you really have to be patient with it, because if you're looking for a result every time, forget about it. It's just, and I tend to kind of kill ideas before they get started. So, I'd be kind of going, well, July, that's not as good as July. It's not as good as Mexico. It's not as good as Gin and Tonic Sky. It's not as good as...
Of course,
So I do all of that, and that's terrible. But of recent, I'm kind of like, I do know I can write really good songs. I don't have anybody breathing down my neck telling me that I'm in a hurry. I don't really give a shit about journalists as much, to a point where, what they say about me is what they say about me. So I think the less I care, the more beautiful the stuff is.
Yeah, of course, because you're not clouding the situation.
I'm basically trying to teach myself not to care anymore. That's the...
Well, that's a great lesson for every fucker. It's just going, nah.
It's very hard now. I mean, I have to say it is very hard. But I started doing a bit of painting as well. And
very good.
Now, I wouldn't be great at it, but I'm all right.
I saw a painting you put up. It was very good. You were saying you were still at it and you were poking at it or whatever. And you should leave it alone. Yeah, I saw it put up on your page.
There. But the thing is that I think even doing that might be subconsciously loosening up the lyrics in the head.
The creative cogs. Yeah,
exactly. So I'm kind of doing that. And my whole thing is that as long as I am being creative, not looking for a quick result, that there's something brewing away all the time, you know what I mean?
Beautiful.
And to be reading as well, as I'm reading a book forever there, but it's the fact that I show up and read a few pages of it every now and then. It's who wrote the book again? It's a George Orwell book called Burmese Dreams, is it, or something like that? Something about Burma, anyway. Burmese Days. And it's so well written that it's, for me, I have to read it slowly, because every line is like a piece of steak,
Yes, yeah.
And I just get in there, But so yeah, that's the whole thing. So lockdown really has been, I'm trying to tell myself that it's been a great thing and a bit of a holiday and a bit of it's the time that I never had, that I couldn't buy, basically.
Of course.
So I'm trying to play a trick on myself that way.
I think that's what we're all doing, is put the positive spin on it. Because at least, I mean, if you can, I mean, I've ended up growing a mullet. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is, that's all I can say. Is that.
It's believable, put it that way.
Yeah. It's, I know I don't want to take up your whole evening. There's one line in July, pocket trout.
Yeah.
Explain, please, if you wouldn't mind.
Oh, I'd rather not.
Okay, perfect. I don't need to know. So, yeah. Yeah, that's
I
fine.
know,
That's
it was a lingo I heard off of actually a girl said it to me one time. That's about all.
that's fine. That's fine. That's all I need to know. That's all I need to know.
Maybe it's a metaphor of some description.
Yeah, we should go deep with it. Yeah,
it's funny because that song it's a tribute to Fred. It's an in-house joke, and so that friend will get it. And then there was an old guy I used to hang out with in the equestrian center, and he used to talk about the greyhound skirts all the time.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like an in-house joke, and everyone would get it, and nobody would ever hear the fucking song. And it would be fine. And then, a year ago, with all this Me Too and bollocks, what's going on? Well, I won't say bollocks because a lot of that is terrible and all the rest. But somebody said July used to be a great song until I knew what the lyrics meant. And it was like...
Oh, yeah. But there, you see, that's the great thing about my podcasts is because it filters out the doses. There'll be no dose listen to this because 5 minutes in they go, I fucking hate that.
I think Twitter has gone to the dogs.
Oh, yeah. That's where doses live.
It never used to be like that at all. It used to be kind of it's weird. But, that's the internet for you, I love a bit of Instagram, I have to say. People putting up a photograph and you just know
that's it.
Whether they're happy or sad, creative or shite with a camera.
That's exactly it. It's just silliness. And I like Instagram. I go to Twitter just if I want to kind of just voyeur on angry people every so often.
He's gotten very bad, I have to say.
Yeah, but sure, it's only as bad as you let it in. Like, God, live man to fuck. Could you invite you? There's many summer fates in the UK have like traditions where a bell must be rung before the summer is actually recognised and whatnot. And I think there's only one man. You should actually have a national day right at the beginning of July, where Monday should be brought out on a big teleporter, and you should be on every television up by the Spire in Dublin. No, because it's the centre of the country. You should be in Offaly in Burr, and we should all be watching. And we wait until you play that first chord of July, and then we know the summer has begun. And then after that, then we can all go cracked, running around with our shirts off for the 2 days of the summer that we do actually finally get.
Funny because the original of July, the radios only play. Oh, I know why they only play the because I curse on both of the live versions, but it's very mellow. The original version is. Anyway, but it's nice that it's nice that it gets played.
It's a fantastic idea because, I mean, July rolls around every year. It's like a Christmas song. It's like beautiful. Yeah. But also there's a summery vibe because we're all in it with you. You're telling the story of the day, Yeah. It's almost like a mini podcast in itself. We're all with Monday on the day.
I was listening to Lou Reed the other day and I forgot that Perfect Day by Lou Reed and what's the other one? Satellite of Love. So I actually tipped my hat to Lou Reed twice in July. So it's like an inverted version of Perfect Day by Lou Reed.
Yeah.
And then and all the boys go, and the Colour Girls go, do, 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 do. So that's where all the boys go in July. It comes from Take a Walk on the Wild Side.
Brilliant, yes. Yeah.
So it's a mixture of Perfect Day and Take a Walk on the Wild Side.
I like that. That's like those hidden, like nerds would love that stuff. Like hidden nuggets inside the thing.
And then some people, so that's July for you,
Would you be able to finish this out with a song?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd have to go and get my guitar though.
Beautiful.
So what are you thinking?
Should we pray for the summer? What do you think?
Want a bit of July, do you?
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm ready for it. It was a drizzly old day today, but I think we're ready for the summer.
Okay.
The grand master of summer that is Monday.
I should have plugged this in and given you the full. But I don't know. I'll just.
It sounds very good there. It sounds very clear over these headphones. Yeah.
Okay. July, please, and my mind needs the smell of your fresh cut grass. Your blue sky grins for all its sins. Look, another gorgeous Levi ass. In July, people come and go. It looks like another perfect day, yeah. Oh, just to see your striptease show. July, please try your best to stay. And a mongrel begins to bark at a wino in the park, and his owner doesn't care because he really isn't there. Oh my, 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 oh my, 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 oh my, 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 July. Oh my, 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 oh my, 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 July. July fizz bombs in my mouth, Baby-rama everywhere. Well, I can't lie on my pocket trout, so I sit back in the easy chair. And then a woman of middle age licks and thumbs another page, and then she brushes off the dirt, oh, from her greyhound skirt. All the boys go, oh my, 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 oh my, 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 oh my, 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 July. Oh my, 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 July. And the baby sucks his thumb to the sound of a steel drum, and fountain water gush well through the thick bulrush. Oh my, 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 oh my, 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 oh my, 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 July. Oh my, 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 oh my, 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 July. July, la, la, July, July, la, la, oh, July. July, la, la, July, July, la, la, oh, July, 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 July. July, la, 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 la. La, 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 oh, oh, oh.
Holy shit. That was unbelievable, Monty.
There you go.
Thank you so, so much.
You're
Anybody, Joe, the best place to follow you for the live shows is going to be on Facebook at the moment, really, isn't it? When do you have another one scheduled?
I think my plan is now, so I'm going to be at 52 in a couple of weeks.
Cool.
So that's a year. And then I'd like to try a different way of doing it.
Yeah.
Although, to be honest, I'd hate to say I'm not going to do them again because that's not true. But I'd just like to try a different format. But then the thing is, when I do them on my own, I don't have to depend on anyone and they are the way they are.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd like to have like a YouTube moment where there's something stupid from YouTube that you just play, and then a bit of a song of the week by some artist, in Ireland. where there's no copyright issues with using the track, and I just like to have a format.
Yes.
Tidy it up a bit, because at the moment it's just me sitting in the back saying hello, how's it going, and just singing a few covers and a few of my own songs, and so maybe there's nothing wrong with that either. I don't know.
No, I think people enjoy the kind of loosey-goosey version of that, because it's not like it's going to fall apart. It's Monday. You know what I mean? People are tuning in for all the right reasons.
Yeah. So it's funny. Some people say, you know what, you should disappear for a while. And you're like, oh, I can't afford to.
No, in all reality. But
I know what they mean by that is, like, say if you were to put out a new record, that you just don't do anything for a year,
Okay, yeah. But at the same time, like,
it's hard.
That is. Yeah,
I'd love to be able to afford to go away for a year.
Yeah, I don't think people want you to go away for a year, though. At the same time, I
really enjoyed that, man.
Thanks so much. Thank you very, very much for ushering in the summer, man.
And my apologies to any listeners who think that there's a bit too much red going on. But that's just all the clothes I've got at the moment, and that red is my backdrop usually. But I thought if I took it down, that it would just be I'd disappear back into it, like.
Well, I put me in a pub just to make us feel good about ourselves
here.
I
like the Burke. You had the telescope up a while ago.
I had the telescope up. Yeah. But I kind of blended into the telescope as well.
And what color is your backdrop then?
Green.
So it's a green screen.
You can't go wrong with it.
And where do you get them?
You get it, man. You get one for 15 quid online. Just literally, will be with you tomorrow.
Wow. And you can just put whatever backdrop you want.
Whatever you want. Zoom just let you could just go look for I literally, before we started, I went high res of the telescope and Burr, and there about 50 of them came up. I grabbed the first one and went, I use that, thanks very much. Yeah. And there you go.
I should get one of those techie boys to help me with that.
One of them techie boys. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I can put you in touch with several lads who'd be who'd be all over that stuff.
Well, geez, I'll be on to you.
Don't you worry about it. Monday. You absolute champion. Thanks a million, brother.
Cheers. See ya.
My thanks again to the mighty Mundy, Edmund Enright. What an absolute legend. Do follow him on Facebook. He does do live shows and stuff like that, and he's going to do a couple of more before he kicks into this other kind of realm that he's talking about, which I'm going to try and help him with, because it does sound interesting, and he is a kind of a cool thinker of him, so I'm going to try and help him as much as I can. Of course, his new track out at the minute is Dark Long Enough. Give it a listen. It's absolutely class, as you could only imagine. What an absolute legend. Thank you very much, Mundy. You know the crack, lads. I talked about it at the top of the show. Rate and review on whatever format you're on. Top comment is going to win a t-shirt, no matter where you are in the world. Announced on the live show for Patreons on the 30th. If you want to become a Patreon, it takes about 30 seconds. You can pay one time, jump in, and that's it. Like a bunch of people gotten the benefits of paying a one-off payment to support the show, and all the stuff you get. There's a gang of interview videos up there. There's a gang of other fun stuff, and also it entitles you to the live shows, lads. The live good crack shows. Now, that has been episode 183 of Buckshot. Go on away, enjoy the sunny weekend, and I'll talk to you again next week. Good night, God bless, thanks.